The Atlanta Braves dropped game one of their series against the Los Angeles Dodgers 2-1 in a game that had great pitching, not a lot of offense for either side. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter. You can find that over at bravestoday.com. Follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. He's Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at Shortstop Ball. And Jake, 2-1 loss to the Los Angeles Dodgers. If you were a fan of pitching, this was actually a really, really good game. Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Grant Holmes. And both pitchers looked really good in this one.
Yeah, we knew coming in it was going to be a tough one just on paper, looking at the pitching matchup, because Yamamoto, he might be the best pitcher in baseball right now. I mean, he has been unbelievable this year for the Dodgers, and Grant Holmes matched him in this one. If you all these games that the Braves have had against the Padres and the Dodgers, they've been super competitive. I know that doesn't mean anything, and at some point you have to win one of those games. But this game in particular, where you felt like the pitching matchup was a little lopsided, I think as a Braves fan, you got to come away very encouraged with what you saw from Grant Holmes, who straight dealed. I thought this was his best outing of the season.
Yeah, you always have to, I guess, maybe be pleasantly surprised when you see the revenge game coming, right? Grant Holmes, this was the organization that drafted him in the first round. I think it was 2014's first round by LA. So comes out 6 full innings, comes back for the 7th, career high 9 strikeouts, and starts the game on a great tone. Strikes out Shohei Ohtani, strikes out Mookie Betts, strikes out Freddie Freeman in the first, ends up picking up, I believe it's 5 strikeouts first time through the order, 4 more the second time through. I thought it was funny. Justin Toscano, friend of the show, made a comment on social media. If I had to get Shohei Ohtani out and my life depended on it, Grant Holmes might be the guy I call on. He dealt tonight. 4 hits, 2 walks. He did give up a solo home run to Mookie Betts in the 6th and a sac fly in the 4th. That was all of the runs that LA needed. But this was, I would argue, probably his best game of the year, top to bottom, from a depth perspective, from an effectiveness perspective, and from a strikeout perspective.
Yeah, certainly. Like I said, I think it was clearly his best outing when you consider the competition and the swings and misses that he was able to get. 15 whiffs against that Dodgers lineup that doesn't chase a lot, doesn't swing and miss a ton. I thought it was really good stuff from Grant Holmes. He was able to mix in those breaking balls. They label it a slider and the curveball. It says only threw 8 of them, but he kind of mixes the depth on that pitch, I think, a little bit, and kind of manipulates it to where I think it's actually a couple of different pitches when you look at it. But either way, he was able to get some really awkward swings. So some really good hitters in that Dodgers lineup. So this was very impressive to me from Grant Holmes. The fastball velocity is not anything crazy, but he can get up to 96. He averages 94. And you hear hitters and other teams talk about just how deceptive that slider and that breaking ball can be for Grant Holmes and how it's hard to square up. And you saw it tonight. I really think just a couple of mistakes, really one mistake to Mookie in an 0-2 count, threw a pitch middle, and Mookie was able to just sneak it out over the wall. And that 4th inning to me was a bit frustrating, right? Because he had the perfect game going. I mean, he had retired him in order through 3 1/3 innings, and then Mookie hits one back up the middle. Grant Holmes gets in the way of it. Otherwise, you had a guy up the middle. It's probably going to be an out. And then Matt Olson tries to make a good diving play to maybe go for 2 there, but Ozzy's behind him. That's probably going to be an easy out. And next thing you know, he walks a batter and you go up the sac fly. That was a frustrating inning for me because felt like just a couple of things didn't go your way. Next thing you know, bases loaded, but good job by him to only get out of that, only giving up 1 run. So I think we saw Grant Holmes really grow up a lot tonight as a starter. I know he's been around the block for a while, not a young guy, but certainly as a starter at the big league level, I think he made some major strides tonight.
Yeah. The flip side of the liner from Mookie Betts off of Grant Holmes's hamstring, I guess, is we saw the Braves send 2 rockets up the middle. Matt Olson had one in the first at 107. Mookie Betts is playing right by second base and gets it. And then Sean Murphy sends one in the second at 106, and Yamamoto in self-preservation catches it. And it's just the little inches like that. If Holmes gets a glove on that ball versus it hitting him in the leg, maybe that whole inning goes a little bit differently. Just kind of one of those frustrating things that over the course of a season evens out. I will say for Grant Holmes, I feel like he used the cutter a lot more today than he normally does. It's a really good, and this is kind of having to remember back now from a couple hours earlier. We had that 73-minute rain delay, but it felt like he was using the cutter to bridge between the fastball and the slider really well. If somebody was sitting on, say they were sitting on slider, rather than just going to a fastball and not letting them get the slider they wanted, he threw a cutter because it would look similar to the slider, but obviously they'd swing underneath it. Same thing with the fastball and the cutter. If they're sitting fastball, he'd use the cutter to get a little bit of movement versus the fastball, but have it still look like it was one of the same pitches. I thought that cutter, especially against lefties, is just not a thing that we've seen him reliably go to that much. And tonight, I do think that was maybe one of the differences. And to your point, really kind of grown up and shown mixing all of my pitches in an attempt to just keep hitters off balance. And it worked against LA. So,
yeah, and got to be key for Grant Holmes is, again, transitioning into the starter's role. If he wants to be able to go 5, 6, 7 innings consistently and get through a lineup 3 times, you're going to need a little bit something else. Not everybody can have just that fastball slider, mix in just that curveball a little bit and be a dominant pitcher like Spencer Strider has been. You got to have something else to kind of put in the back of the hitter's mind a little bit and to play off those other pitches. So you're right. Being able to mix in that cutter, I think, worked really well for him tonight.
Yeah, still not throwing the changeup any. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. We heard a lot of talk in spring about adding the kick change. He didn't throw a single off-speed pitch tonight. That may just be he just wasn't feeling it. That's very much a feel pitch. I just find that a little bit odd. After that, Dylan Lee, Daisbel Hernandez, Rafael Montero each take a scoreless inning, 2 strikeouts, 1 total walk there. No kind of issues there. Obviously, Raisel Iglesias had a couple days off. You feel like he's good for the rest of the series if you were to get there. I want to talk about the offense because I think 2 things can be true at once. Like, they didn't do enough in their at-bats, but also Yamamoto was fantastic tonight, and so it's not entirely their fault. We'll do that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and get ready to go. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles. EA Sports, College Football 25, Call of Duty, things like that, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. And if you ever want to try out Xbox games without the investment of a console, Fire TV Stick 4K can be a low-pressure way to start exploring and figure out if Xbox is the right game console for you. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available in select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd generation, and Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. Okay, so Yoshinobu Yamamoto had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning. 2 outs, Austin Riley gets a double, blows up the no-hitter, but finished this game with 1 total hit. Some of the at-bats from the Braves I thought were really good. I mentioned Olsen and Riley getting good contact on those balls. Marcell Ozuna saw 26 pitches in 3 at-bats from Yamamoto. Yamamoto only threw 91 pitches in the game. 29% of all of his pitches thrown were to Marcell Ozuna. But, Yamamoto did a great job of mixing everything up. But at the same time, I feel like some of the Braves hitters could have done more and still didn't have great at-bats in the evening.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said earlier, I mean, Yamamoto is really good. And as I've said on the podcast today, I think he might be the best pitcher in baseball right now. Just looking at the numbers, what he's been able to do, he's been virtually unhittable. I don't think he's given up more than 5 hits in a start all year. He hasn't given up more than 2 runs in a start all year. I mean, he's been consistent and he has been dominant. And, you saw that tonight. And to be able to get him out after 6 innings, I think is, a bit of a good thing for the Atlanta Braves. It's just you hope to at least scratch across 1 run in those 6 innings. Maybe you run into a ball there. But he was obviously really good. You come off the game in Colorado on Wednesday where you get, I think, 3 hits in that game, and now you only get 4 hits in that game. That is the tough part about this, to have 2 games in a row like that you get great pitching from Chris Sale and Grant Holmes, and you let those starts go to waste because your offense can't get anything going. I would have liked to see some more bats. I'd like to see some of the hitters at the bottom of the lineup that have been so good frustrate him a little bit more and work some deeper at counts. Eli White had a bat in there where I thought he did a good job fouling off some pitches and going deep into an at bat, but you need to see more of that. But it's not like this is the bullpen you really are excited to get into either. Their bullpen is fantastic. So it's just a tough matchup. Look, it is what it is. I mean, at some point you have to beat teams like this, and the Braves haven't done it yet. But they're right there. It's just, again, as we talked about earlier, a couple plays here or there really made the big difference in this one. And Yamamoto just really good. And I don't know how much blame you can. Obviously, you only get 4 hits in 1 run. The offense is and you lose 2-1. The offense is gonna take the brunt of this blame, and rightfully so. You just wish you could have done a little bit more, get somebody on, but you didn't have a chance. Like Eli White doesn't get on Nick Allen. You don't get any of your speed on. It doesn't give you a chance to really frustrate Yamamoto, put a runner in scoring position, put some speed on the base pass. You just weren't able to do that in this one. And you really were just hoping that somebody ran into one. And Matt Olson did against Kirby Yates, but that was it.
Yeah. Yamamoto entered the game with an MLB best 106 ERA. And then that obviously went down today. So he's now at a .090. Obviously, best ERA in baseball. I would argue he's probably the front runner for NL Cy Young right now. It's probably him, Paul Skeens, and I'm kind of blanking on who the third might be because it could be any one of half a dozen pitchers. But yeah, it's understandable. It felt like the turning point in this one was the 7th inning, right? You got Yamamoto out of the game. Olsen got the leadoff home run off of Kirby Yates, a guy that right? He spent a season in Atlanta. I still argue you should have probably picked up that club option you had on him, but he goes to Texas and has an amazing year and gets paid. And you're in a situation where after that, it was Sean Murphy, huge fly ball to center field, a little bit too high of a launch angle, though it's like 106 off the bat, but caught at the warning track. Ozzie Albies, 80, I think it was 82 mile an hour not pop up. It was technically a fly out, not a pop up. He has enough of those already. Let's not give him more. And then a Michael Harris strikeout. He does. Michael Harris sees 9 pitches, but he does swing at 3 or 4 that are well below the zone and striking out. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. The bottom 3-4 guys really, I'm not blaming them. It was a tough matchup, but I feel like anecdotally, the games where Atlanta's offense has been very successful are the games where those guys, to your point from earlier, have been able to get on and put a little bit of pressure on that pitcher to be perfect, to execute, to block everything behind the plate. And we just didn't see that tonight. And it's like you said, the offense is going to take the blame. I really don't think you can blame the offense that much here. This was just, you play this game 10 times. This is probably 5-5 or 6-4 one way or the other. I don't think any one team outclassed the other.
Yeah, and like I said, to me, it really came down to that 4th inning and a couple of balls that, just don't go your way. And we might still be playing this one in the rain if that were the case. But the bottom of the order, it's been so spectacular for the Braves, them being able to get on base and set things up for the top, but just weren't able to do that in this one. And everybody struck out at least once in this game. Riley's the only one that struck out twice, 10 strikeouts in this one. I always, like I say, look for 8 there, but it's a tough matchup. 3 walks in this one, but who do they come by? 2 by Ozuna and 1 by Olsen. They have over 50 walks already this season on the year with those 2 combined, and just great plate discipline. I mean, the at-bats from Ozuna to Yamamoto were great. That at-bat by Olsen in the 9th inning to at least, get on base and give Sean Murphy a puncher's chance of running into one. Those 2 guys just continue to have good at-bats. Olsen with the home run, the ball he stung up the middle, so some good at-bats by him. So, I mean, you could see some signs in there. It's just, not enough on a night where you're facing Yamamoto, Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott in the 8th, and then Evan Phillips in the 9th. It's really good pitching, and it's tough nights like that sometimes.
Absolutely is. So again, 2-1 loss by the Braves to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are back in action tomorrow. 7:15 on Fox, national broadcast, a little bit different, so make sure you're aware of that. Roki Sasaki versus Spencer Schwellenbach, going to be a ton of fun. Another great pitching matchup. I think all three of these are just really intriguing pitching matchups. So it's kind of go. I'm hyped to see Sasaki versus Schwellenbach. But again, 2-1 loss by the Braves to the Dodgers. If you're listening on the audio, do us a favor. Leave a 5-star review for Locked On Braves. Apple, Spotify, whatever Google uses nowadays. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta, because we're going to talk about 2 more wins this weekend. We're manifesting, people. Until next time, this has been the Braves Postcast.